FOF Live, presented by La Pop. Thank you for joining us, everybody, here on the Flashback Friday. Big show here. Yankees, Marlins, first of three, expecting the biggest crowds of the weekend. Most of you, I know, are at the ballpark, so enjoy your time there. Hopefully you check in with us before you go over there. Eli Sussman here, Alex Carver to my side, and we have multiple guests we are expecting, but the first of which, Peter Pratt here from Locked On Marlins. We'll also be having Tanner McGrath from the Action Network on in a little bit. Most of you joining us here on YouTube, and I implore you, this is my prediction, my biggest prediction of all, is if the Locked On Marlins YouTube channel reaches 1,000 subscribers before the end of the regular season, the Marlins will make the postseason. I think that is going to be the X factor. So welcome, Peter. And again, I encourage everybody to hop on over there. Just take a second to subscribe to Locked On Marlins as well if you already subscribed to us here.
How you doing, guys? Great to be on, Eli. It feels like it's been a while since we've hooked up for one of these. So yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, everyone's at the ballpark right now, so you got to start reaching out. How wide do you need to go until you get someone to say yes? And England, I guess, was one of the stops. So
yeah, almost everybody that's in the area, but from out of town, I know we have Ken Sean. He checks in from Sharif, I should say. He checks in from the Bahamas. And TP Joseph, I know he's out of town as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, joining us around here. Again, presented by La Pop. And I want to just take one moment, because just earlier, when was it? Was it just last night? The night before? I finally took a moment to redesign our site, our fishonfirst.com site, after a couple months of kind of difficulties when it comes to the display and the navigation there. We have redesigned that as well. So if you guys haven't already been to the site, that is where you get our complete Miami Marlins coverage over there. Incorporated the GIF database in new ways. When you go to the homepage, you're greeted with a big GIF of whoever is trending at the moment. I have Brian De La Cruz up there for the moment, but we have it all organized with the masthead finally up there. We have fan posts open. We have a special page for our wonderful partners at La Pop over there. So I just want to take that moment to shamelessly plug that before we get into the most recent series. The last couple games this Marlins team have played vintage first half Marlins games where all hope seemed lost, and they found very creative ways to win both of them, ultimately taking 2 out of 3 from the Reds. What I wanted to start with, Carver, is the game that they did not win. Game 1, the triumphant return of Yuri Perez was not triumphant. He looked exactly as advertised first time through the Reds lineup. Then things kind of went awry second time through. They recovered to win the series, but first they lost that one. What is it that you thought what went wrong after looking so sharp early in that game? And what should we realistically expect from him down the stretch? As we've said before, he's going to be pitching innings that he's never pitched before in a single season.
Yeah, the guy hasn't pitched. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The guy just hasn't pitched. They sent him down. He pitched 5.2 innings for Pensacola, and now he's back, and they're hoping that he could at least go 5 in this game. It didn't happen. Just got to get back into it, man. Like you said, he's pitching the most baseball in a single season than he ever has. Just has to get back into it, regain full composure, regain full control. I'm sure he knows he's pitching in meaningful baseball games, at the biggest level that he's ever done it. So I'm sure there's pressure on him there as well, knowing that things are riding on him. Like, they called him back up for a reason, because he's their best chance to win. I'm sure that's not lost on what is a very smart and intuitive young man. So just needs to pitch more, man. I hated when they sent him down. Not that it's, all on the Marlins, but it kind of did it to themselves in this regard. I don't think the guy should have been sent down the way that he was going. They did. They're regretting it now because he pitches 5.2 innings and now you need him back in the rotation. So it's tough to see, but I think he's going to get it back, man. This kid's too special not to do it. So I think he's going to be fine. Just needs to get back into the groove.
Yeah. One of the lone highlights of that first game, Jazz Chisholm, a late home run that followed him through the course of the rest of the series here, where he had the pat on the butt with the catcher. Who was that catcher? It was Tyler Stevenson. And then the final game of the series, Pete, I wanted to bring you in about the exchange between him and Graham Ashcraft. That I know that was that caught a lot of people's attention afterwards. And in post-game comments, Graham Ashcraft, he had his way with Jazz in, I think it was the final game of that series. But post-game, speaking as if he there was even more pent-up emotions there and that things could have perhaps escalated even a little bit more. What do you think of just the comments by Ashcraft and the way that Jazz, his personality, he likes to keep it positive and fun, and yet it gets under people's skin, especially if you're not on his team.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely those post-game presser comments were inflammatory, let's say, regarding that situation. And my main takeaways were that Ashcraft and the Reds are frustrated too. Like, the Marlins have been feeling frustration, but the Reds are feeling it too. Like, the heat is on for these teams. The Reds, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, all of a sudden, maybe after the All-Star break, they've kind of like realized the situation they're in. Maybe the pressure starts to build. So, he was clearly pretty emotional. I know we're talking about the pat on the butt situation in game one with Tyler Stevenson, but I think this actually came down to the first pitch of the at-bat that he ended up striking Jazz out on. But I think that was the boiling point for Ashcraft, where I think he was trying to quick pitch Jazz, I think. These pitches with these rules, like, there is a bit of gamesmanship that's been going all the way through this season, in my opinion, where, the batter has to be alert, but then the pitchers kind of got free reign to just freeze them for however long. And so there's definitely a lot of gamesmanship going on with these pitchers through the year. And I think Jazz kind of called him out because he was trying to like go a step too far. And the umpire, I think, agreed with Jazz. And so I think that frustrated Ashcraft. He struck him out. I think the phrase after was, that's it's lucky that's what he got, or something like that, with a strikeout. So right. I think he was alluding to the fact that it could have been worse, could have been intentionally trying to hit Jazz. And listen, I'm happy if that's going to be one of two options: a strikeout or being plunked. With Jazz's injury history, and we just need him on the field. Like, we definitely don't want anyone throwing at Jazz Chisholm Jr. right now. So I think I don't think the two are connected. The pat on the butt. And I don't know the backstory there, if there was any. Pardon the pun, if there is any pun in there with that one. But I don't think there was any history with Stevenson and Jazz. I think maybe just Jazz, pinch hit home run. His first ever, I believe, his first career pinch hit home run as well. And, maybe just, gives it the Euro step and the little tap on the backside. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, Ashcraft, he was hot. And I must say, I don't know Ashcraft. I haven't really seen a ton of him before. I was watching him pitch, and facially, I just kept seeing Caleb Smith, to be honest with you. I just couldn't get that out of my mind.
Spitting image. Yes, a mirror image, really, except from the right side instead of the left side.
Definitely. But yeah, explosive comments. He's frustrated, right? The Reds were frustrated to lose that series. They were frustrated to lose that game. Like, they could have very easily swept the Marlins in that series, which would have been a big boost for them. We may have been thinking about this series differently. The conversation would have been, we thought we'd already been to ground zero, I think. Maybe we would have been even further at that point if the Marlins wouldn't have had these late rallies. But yeah, frustration boiling over for Ashcraft, inflammatory. But, this now creates an interesting future situation too, right? Where who knows what this rivalry becomes, but there will be a rivalry now. I'd love to get a microphone in front of Jazz, ask him if he'd seen the comments. He'll probably say no, and who's Graham Ashcraft, but this will continue now forevermore. Not quite to the extent of Jose Urena and Ronald Acuna Jr., you would assume, but who knows?
And we have Tanner on with us. Tanner McGrath, thank you for coming on. A repeat guest, of course, on the show. Quickly, before we move on to from this Red series, a couple one-run wins at the end of this. You think this How much confidence did you have in seeing the Marlins do that? It looked a lot like some of their first half wins where they kind of sneak it out late. What are your general thoughts on, after a pretty extended, crappy stretch coming out of the All-Star break, the fact that they have these now back-to-back wins against a team that they're directly competing against for that final wild card spot?
Thanks for having me on, as always, guys. Love coming on. Good to be on with Peter, too. Follow you. Great follow on Twitter. Everyone give him a follow. Love that you brought up the one-run game thing, this series. So last time we talked, I had a lot of positivity for the Marlins. I'm going to be a lot more negative here. I'm going to try my best, but I got some negativity coming. This was a series between two teams that I'm low on, and it just kind of played out exactly that way. A couple one-run wins, which is just like crazy how the Marlins continue to win these one-run games. The Reds sort of blew it. Their pitching is it's just not there for the Reds. Honestly, it was kind of chaotic series that played out exactly how I expected it to. I wouldn't be surprised if both these teams ended up missing the playoffs altogether, to be honest with you. But I'll take 2 out of 3 any day. I hope they keep it rolling.
Yeah, and that was the end of the season series between these two teams. And they actually split the season series. We're deep enough into the year where I'm already looking at the tiebreakers between the Marlins and various other teams that they're chasing in this wild card race. Let me quickly get, if I can find it, the National League playoff picture up here. I have it somewhere. I'm going to find it eventually.
The only other thing to bring up, Eli, about the series that I don't think was mentioned is the ejections. I didn't really understand, especially the Soler one, or I'm sorry, especially the Avi one. You saw the umpire report come out after that, and that umpire was near perfect. And Avisail Garcia gets ejected for arguing balls and strikes, and Schumacher goes out with him. And then in the last game, again, like you said, in a one-run game, in the 8th inning, they lose Jorge Soler, who's been their best power hitter. Where's the discipline? Like, where are you at? Like, this is with Soler, your best power hitter. This guy has 28, 29 home runs, and you're going out for arguing balls and strikes? Got to be better, man. I didn't get it. That kind of stuff can't happen when you're trying to win these close games.
I love that, Carver. Just calling out Avi. You see the report after, like you said, it was near perfect, and Avi's there arguing. That's how bad Avi's eye is at this point, that he's arguing. He's arguing strikes that are strikes.
The Soler one was a strike too. It was right on the outside corner.
Yeah.
Like, what is he arguing? And then Skip goes out both times with them. So, man, crazy.
It happened twice. Skip ejected twice in a 3-game span. He'd only been ejected twice the entire season up to that point. We're about to start a series against the Yankees, and the Yankees with Aaron Boone. He's now the major league king in terms of getting thrown out of games. But Skip, this is uncharacteristic of him in 2 separate situations, as you touched on, in situations that really weren't that egregious. They were just borderline pitches. That's just how it goes sometimes. So that was that was interesting happening with Soler there. And so I think that was, I'm trying to remember, Soler was earlier. Which one of them happened first? Soler was the one. No, that was in the final game of the series.
Avi one was in the first game, and then Soler played in the second game.
Yeah, so Soler had that huge home run in the middle game, and then in the final game, having him thrown out, and you were really concerned about their chances of winning that. And Josh Bell, I guess I'll finally just mention Josh Bell being the first Marlin ever to hit homers from both sides of the plate in the same game. Pete, he's been, I guess, everything you could have wanted at this moment, while Coop is unfortunately riding the bench in San Diego. Bell, every day, number 3 hitter for this team. He, by most measures, he seemed to be an unlucky player early in the year, and it seems that his luck has turned at the perfect time. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I spoke about in yesterday's show, like that is exactly what the Marlins needed, just to balance this lineup, just a guy that can hit. For all Coop's qualities, he has tons of them, but he's a gap hitter primarily, which is fine, but you just see having that 3-run home run power in there in the big spot can really flip a game on its head, and that's what the Marlins have been missing. Well, they've relied on Soler. He's the only source of that. So now Soler can do it, so can Bell, so can Berger. All of a sudden, it feels different, and this team, they want to stay close in games, and they do rally late, and we've seen that all year. But now they can rally late with 3-run blasts and actually get the go-ahead home run. I mean, winning that game the other day, it was 3 home runs. I think it was 2 from Bell and 1 from De La Cruz, and that was it. I
I
mean,
thought the trade, those deadline acquisitions were perfect because I think it was something like the Marlins were like third in hits and like third to last in ISO. So what do you think you need to fix? Get power hitters, and that's exactly what they did. And hopefully that pays off more going forward. I've always loved Josh Bell. He's always a great.
Speaking of trades,
acquisition guy.
Eli, real quick, you also see Robertson finally doing what we know he can, getting 2 saves. And then I want to mention one other piece of this bullpen, Tanner Scott. This guy has been crazy good. Has only allowed 2 inherited runners to score, pitches late in games. He's got like a sub-3 ERA. There was a first pitch strike to nearly every batter that he faces and just gets ahead quickly. That guy's good. Perfect setup guy there for Mr. Robertson, I think, with Scott, even though he only has 1 real good pitch. The fastball's still like 97, so the slider tunnels off it pretty nicely. So I like that arm too. I like Tanner Scott, even though he's only like a 1-2 pitch guy. 2 at the most, 1+ pitch, because I think the fastball is pretty straight. But still, that guy's good. And he's been really good this year with getting ahead early and just putting guys away quickly. So I like Tanner Scott too. So Scott and Robertson, good 8-9 combo there. And it showed again in this series.
He pitched all 3 games of the series as well. I hadn't even noticed that until Skip brought it up afterwards, how rare that is these days to pitch full innings in back-to-back days. He pitched the first game because they're like, geez, this guy needs some work. We just lost 4 or 5 other games before this. We had no opportunity to use him. And then bam, the next 2 days, they really need him. And he's right there. So that's a trade where I remember Carver in particular, you were kind of high on that, on Scott figuring it out when they got him. And he made you look a little silly that first year, a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs. But then this year, just incredible, like on the short list of better left-handed relievers in all baseball.
I liked Cole Sulser too. Sorry, Pete. I liked Cole Sulser too. So I guess I was 1 for 2 in that trade. But yeah, I do like Tanner Scott. I think he's good.
I remember Aram Layden loving Cole Sulser as well back in the day, just to mention that one. So you weren't the only one on Sulser. Just to kind of circle back on the Bell, by the way, I do wonder, the assumption at this point is he's going to opt in, I guess, to this final year. But listen, if Bell goes bananas here and will benefit from that, hopefully, I wouldn't rule out that he opts out of that situation, to be honest with you. Like Soler, it's a foregone conclusion, I guess. But, $16.5 million, I think it is for Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back out to the market, secure a multi-year deal. I don't think that's out of the equation. I don't think we should just assume blindly that Josh Bell is opting into next year, to be honest with you.
He's only 32.
It feels like he's been around forever, doesn't he?
I think Bell's even isn't he a little younger than that?
Oh, no, I meant to say he's 30 also.
Oh,
he's 30 years old. Yeah, he's in his prime. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. He's about to turn 31 on Monday. So
there you go.
Happy early birthday to Josh Bell.
The other thing too with what Pete was saying about guys with player options, you have another one with Soler. So it's quite possible that this team looks like, let's say neither one of those guys come back. Like this team could look a lot different next year. So it's an interesting time for sure. Hopefully at least one of them comes back, but if neither one does, Marlins are going to have a busy offseason to go through if they don't try to get one of these done before then.
Yeah, agreed.
So
Josh Bell has Scott Boras as his agent too. Who?
Oh boy,
I have respect for. I mean that Xander Bogaerts contract was something else.
Yes, and one final time before we bring in Kevin for our press box report. Yeah, quick look at where this playoff picture is looking. We're going to throw this up every single stream, like keeping an eye on everything that's going on. Where as cold as the Marlins have been in general the last few weeks, the Reds have been every bit as cold. The Diamondbacks have been worse. The Diamondbacks, an 8-game losing streak entering tonight. They're below 500. I could not believe that. I remember early in the year talking about NL Manager of the Year conversation. It could be Skip. It could be Torey Lovello and the D-backs. Look how much they've improved, and now they are only incrementally ahead of where they were at this time a year ago. So that's interesting. It's a half-game edge over the next closest team. I think we're going to try a duel. We're going to try a double press box report here. Let's see if this will work out.
Got to get some breathing room.
Yes, covering at Lone Depot today, we got Kevin, we have Isaac, and they both are on their own systems. They both got their earbuds in, so we may get some decent audio from them. I only put Kevin in the tweet because he was the one that logged in first. So Kevin will speak first about what's going on, I guess.
Wow.
How's the vibes there, Kevin? I know you said it's pretty busy, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Peter and Tanner. I hate that I missed this stream, man. Holy sugar. But no, yeah, it is electric. It is comparable to when Miguel Cabrera was here a couple weeks ago, and comparable to the WBC. It's nuts. There's a lot of white, a lot of Yankees merch roaming the ballpark. So I would say it's going to be a Yankees home field advantage tonight. But it really is an electric feel at the ballpark. Everyone's in high spirits on the Marlins clubhouse, and it's a nice time.
Yeah, to add on, just it's crazy. You know, with New York, you're not able to go into the dugout to the Yankees dugout. They have security. You're not able to get near the players. It's hard, man. And these guys are all trained for PR. I'll say that. They're good to avoid people. So it's been fun. It's been cool though. You know, just seeing Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton close up in person, and those guys were hitting nukes during BP. Surprisingly enough, no second deckers. So that's the one thing I'll mention. But it's a fun team. Most of them are, big names, obviously. And I would say, as Isaac mentioned, I would say it's like 80-20 Yankees out here at Lone Depot Park. So, and, and the upper deck's already getting pretty full. So should be a fun one.
Yeah. For people that are watching this, if you're watching this at home and going to the game, you should already be at the game because it's going to be pretty busy over there in terms of the traffic, in terms of the parking situation, getting into the ballpark. They are not used to crowds like this. And as Kevin just said, the Yankee fans are the ones that are putting this up. So a lot of people at the ballpark that probably don't go there all that often. Is there like a uniform number or a player name jersey that you see most often among the Yankee fans?
No, I've seen I've seen a lot of Jason Giambi jerseys. It's weird to see so many name jerseys with Yankees. Unfortunately, They don't sell many of them. But the number 25 has been pretty popular among Yankee fans.
Yeah, I always forget to do this, but I usually wear like Marlins t-shirts for these streams. I never show them on stream. I got to cater to both teams. I have my Donnie baseball one from when he won Manager of the Year, but obviously most as a player with the Marlins. Yeah, I always forget to actually show them on the stream, even though I wear these.
I wonder if he would have been eligible for Flipped Fish Donnie baseball. I think I would have countered it.
We're gonna go right into that right after this. We are gonna blend that over the break. You'll see. You'll see what we do. We're gonna tease it, then we're gonna go to the break, and then coming back from the break, we'll see if any people in our live chat are able to guess your mystery player.
Do I stay for that or no?
No, we're gonna kick you. We're gonna kick you out, and then we'll go into it right after you're done with it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll add is the 2003 World Series championship. They're celebrating that. They're actually right now doing the Q&A with a couple of the guys. I know Conan's there, Juan Pierre's there, and I guess Isaac would recognize the two other guys over there, down there. The guys at the corners. Who is that? That's Carl Pavano? That's Carl Pavano.
That's Carl Pavano, you capital. Oh, my God. And then it's Jeff Conine. I forgot to show him a picture, and I think I can't recognize from here.
Yeah. Well, one other thing while I have you guys on, I think you noted that this is a rare appearance from Bruce Sherman at the ballpark. We don't see him. We haven't been seeing him all that often this year. You got up and close. This is Isaac's picture of him. Did you get how is he? Do you have an understanding as to why he hasn't been as front and center during this season, despite how well things are going?
Yeah, I didn't get a juicy response. I was like, hey, we missed you. He was like, yeah. You guys keep writing nice things. I'm like, we always do, Bruce. But no, he's been around. He's like, yeah, I've been here almost every day, just not in the public eye, I suppose. So I guess he's either hanging out in his suite or, in I guess another part of the ballpark. But no, I think it was on purpose that he just wasn't sitting in his normal owner's spot behind home plate for the last, I think, month and a half. But yeah, that was the first time he met Jake Berger. Our good friend Dolly introduced them. I guess he's met Bell already. But yeah, that was that meeting. It was cool to eavesdrop that conversation a little bit. Cool. He didn't say what you tweeted, Eli. He didn't even mention the burger night.
Yeah, I was joking that the $5 burger promotion, I'm probably not going to do it. I don't think everybody understood what I was referring to there. What I meant is that when they discount that stuff, they can't afford to do that kind of discount when they actually have a lot of people there. Otherwise, you're not going to get the profits that you want. So I think they say that when, they're a little unsure as to what the crowd's going to look like.
Precisely. And below on the field, it is Pavano, Jeff Conine, and Juan Pierre, Kevin. God. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know what that guy is. But those three are there getting interviewed by Tommy Hutton on the field. Not a huge crowd yet, but you can tell that there are some people in the upper deck, that it's going to be a a slam palace. Carolina punter did say they're expecting, they're not hoping for, they're expecting 100K over the weekend. So
there's more than usual, though. I will say there's more than what you would usually see pregame, though. And LMF is here.
And LMF is here. I invited him to come on the stream in a little bit. We'll see if he actually is able to manage that and do that from his phone. Any other questions for our reporters while we have them on with us?
I love you, Peter.
Love you too, guys.
Right on cue. LMF is checking in. we have him behind the scenes. This is our Marlins press box report. Next up, we have our Marlins concourse report with Loud Marlins fan. That's coming up next. But if we're all done with you guys, I'll send you on your way. One of you has the recap? I imagine one of you is doing something else. So that stuff will be up on fishonfirst.com. And other than that, yeah, just follow them. Yeah, the tag team right there. Follow their tweets at Kevin_Grawl, at Isaac Azut. And have a good time, guys.
thanks, guys.
Yeah, so perfect. So LMF in the background. We have our break coming up shortly. Right before we get into that, what I want to do is, first I want to kick out Isaac. There he is. Should be gone. So Isaac does this thing now where on Twitter, before every series called Flipping Fish, I believe is what he's going with, where he picks a player that played for both the Marlins and the opposing team at some point during their major league career. And yeah, so he encourages your responses on Twitter. But what we did is we set aside one player, one particular one like a medium level of difficulty, a name that a lot of longtime fans would recognize, but we want to see if any of you can guess it live as we go into the break and go out of the break as part of Flipping Fish. So here it is for the Yankees and the Marlins series. This is what we came up with. First baseman, bats left, throws left. He's a big guy. He was 6'3", 235. And he was drafted by the Yankees, but at some point he also played for the Marlins. If you guys in the chat can figure out who this is, a .399 on-base percentage. I think that's a pretty big hint. And it even shows this courtesy of Baseball Reference. You could see debuted in 2001. He retired in 2012. I think we're calling this Flipping Fish. Oh, jeez. And guys have already gotten it in the live chat, but we're going to go to the break anyway and leave the rest of the folks in suspense. When we come back, we'll reveal who this is for this series. Then we'll go to our concourse report with LMF and then the rest of the stream, counting down to first pitch. So stick with us. We are back, FOF Live, the second segment of it. The reveal now from this Flipping Fish Yankees and Marlins edition. Every single person got it like within a minute. So Isaac has to go back to the drawing board and rework his level of difficulty because it is Nick Johnson. Sean Miller got it, and TP Joseph got it, and DeMar got it. Yeah, Nick Johnson, most known for playing with the Marlins. But also in 2009, when the Marlins were like better than expected and buyers at that deadline, they picked up Nick Johnson in a deal at the deadline, or was around the deadline, sometime in there. In a very limited sample, in 35 games, he had a .477 OBP for the Marlins. It's just that he couldn't stay healthy because he could never stay healthy. That was an issue on and off throughout his career. Anyway, we'll try a much harder one on the next show because that was way too easy, Isaac. But it's Eli, it's Alex Carver, it is Peter Pratt and Tanner McGrath here. Fish on First Live. And we have LMF, who has been patiently waiting in the background. Let me give him an intro graphic, as this is going to be our first Marlins. We're going to call it the Concourse Report because he is at the game from a different perspective than we got from Kevin and Isaac. And he looks like where are you, LMF? And how's the atmosphere there compared to what you were expecting?
It is just as I was expecting. 80% Yankee fans. It's always great to see our New York friends here at the stadium, taking up my space, filling up my lines and longer drink lines. But cheers, Pete. I don't get to drink with you when we do our not fish on first, our Locked On Marlins. Sorry, this is my third.
That is a strong one. That is a strong drink.
It's the teal, I swear. No, it's just as I expected. You know, a bunch of Yankee fans got here about 4:30. There was already a line to get into the stadium at 4:40 when they opened. I was the first in line to meet Josh Beckett and Carl Pavano and Mike Lull. You know, I was 17 when the Marlins won their first World Series or second World Series the last time. And to be in the presence of your heroes is just freaking amazing. The teal beer tastes just like Budweiser. It's just food coloring in it. But a great question,
Good. Yeah. I believe they've been doing that teal beer promotion for every Flashback Friday this year. So people can still enjoy it a couple more times the rest of this season.
Trick is, it's actually every game in the JB's bar up until the second inning. It's $3 teal beer, and they have some other choices. They just started discounting the Marlins lager. There's a big plane about to go above me. I apologize for the noise if you hear it.
Yeah, no, we're all good. How many games are you there for this series? Are you coming back for Saturday or Sunday?
I'll be back Sunday with Red Smasher, and we're going to enjoy the game behind home plate, not in the PNC, but about row 5. Today I'm in section 22, which is just to the left of Jessica Blaylock today, behind her to the left. But really, it's energetic here. It's something you don't get often at the stadium. It's pretty cool to have energy. The Yankees were in their batting practice up until about 20 minutes ago. A bunch of Yankee fans jumping and cheering every home run that one of their players would hit. Regarding right now what's going on, the reason I'm outside and not inside is because Tommy Hutton is speaking about the players from 2003.
Yeah, we have a photo of that I can put on the screen in just a moment of that happening right now, as Isaac is sending me one of that. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, that pregame ceremony, but it is a Q&A that's happening on the field. So it's Jeff Conine, it's Carl Pavano, it's Juan Pierre, and I don't actually know who that is that's closest to T. Hut. That is...
It's probably Josh Beckett, unrecognizable Josh Beckett.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, 20 years ago. Oh,
yeah, okay, yeah. I'm seeing a different angle. That is Josh Beckett that's closest to him. Yeah.
He was 20 years ago. He was 23, 24, so that makes him 44. And I must say, I hope I age better than him in 7 years.
Yeah, that is Beckett right there. Aside from that, we'll let you get on your way. We'll check
All right, let's get louder. Let's take the series. You have my prediction. Cheers, guys. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. Sweet. I can't believe that's Josh Beckett from that angle. That is.
What a segment that was, though, by the way, Eli. The concourse report must stay, in my opinion.
Yeah, as long as when you do it outside like that and we can actually hear the audio, it's fine. But we've tried it before, and it's a cluster, you know what. There's just like too much background noise and the Wi-Fi goes in and out, but that worked pretty well. Yeah. So thank you to LMF. He's one of our many super subscribers.
They promised D. Lee. They promised D. Lee. I don't know if we saw him in any of LMF stuff there, but yeah, this is the only guy I think we haven't seen him and Pudge, right? They said Pudge too, right?
I don't think Pudge. Definitely.
Yeah, it was in the email today. Special appearance by Pudge Rodriguez was in the email today. So who knows? Maybe later on.
And I think there was one more. Who else? I think of their alumni.
It said Beckett, Pavano, Lee,
and Lowell.
Yeah, Lowell.
Right.
Juan Pierre, Jeff Conine, and a special appearance by Pudge Rodriguez.
Right.
That's a superstar lineup.
Yeah, they pulled out all the stops, of course, for this one. They encouraged people they gave out their replica rings, the 2003 World Series ring giveaway not that long ago, and they encouraged people to come back and wear those to the park today. So let's see how many of them did it to really rub it in on the Yankees fans. But as we keep hearing, they both LMF and Kevin and Isaac, they gave the exact same numbers, 80-20 split of Yankees fans, Marlins fans. The money counts the same, I guess, to the payroll. So I suppose at the highest level, they don't mind, but it'll be a very interesting vibe going on in this ballpark. As we could get into a little bit about this actual series now. I can throw up the lineups here for game 1, Marlins versus Yankees. As I noted on Twitter, I think just yesterday, this is highly unusual that the Marlins have a better record than the Yankees this deep into a season. As far as I can tell, they've never met head-to-head, with the Marlins having a better record since 1997. That was the only other time in interleague play that the Marlins have been better by any measure than the Yankees this deep into the year. And so for game 1, we have Jesus Luzardo going as usual. He always seems to pitch on Flashback Fridays. He's done at least 3 of them already to this point. And the Yankees going with an opener, Ian Hamilton, in this one. He's having a very good year, but he's just a reliever. And from there, they're going to probably hand it off to another rookie, Randy Vasquez. But when it comes to the Marlins, let's start here. Peter, your thoughts on this recent experiment with Soler going back to the leadoff spot? I think it just started in that Reds series, and they seem satisfied with the early returns of having him in the spot where he was for a lot of that Braves World Series run just 2 years ago, but we haven't really deployed it all that much as a Marlin until just recently to kind of shake them out of whatever rut they'd been in the previous few weeks.
Yeah, the profile, it's unconventional in that spot, right? But he's been in there before. We do see this profile a touch around Major League Baseball. I think Kyle Schwarber's the kind of like most direct comparison, maybe, to Soler leading off. They've got more power now. So, like, if they want to put Soler at the top, it's fine. You got Bell at 3, Berger down. What's he hitting? 7? So they're sprinkling around the home run hitters. So immediate results are encouraging. What did he have? 3 for 4 day and a walk, maybe, I think, in his first time leading off in that series. So yeah, I like it. I think this maybe more pertains to Luis Arias, though. Like the 1-2 there was absolutely humming in the first half. Like Arias would get a single or a double, Soler would rock up and blast a bomb, and that would be the catalyst for the Marlins. Soler hit a funk, Arias kind of hit a funk. The two of them kind of collectively came together and got a little bit cold, and they've just flipped it. And let's hope they, something comes out of that. Just a different look for the guys, a different feel. I don't know. I've never played baseball, so I don't know like how mentally this would impact you if you're in the one spot, 2, etc. But listen, they need to do something to change it because both of them were kind of cold. I think they've made the change. It worked. So you just got to ride out that hot hand like anything. If it's working now, let's just keep it rolling. So I'm happy for it. I like the balance anyway in the lineup. This is the other thing to say about this Marlins offense right now when you have this graphic up particularly. Boy, oh boy, there's a lot of red. And we have not said that about a Marlins offense for a long time. Long time. This offense is, in my opinion, the deepest, most balanced offense the Marlins have had probably since the rebuild kicked off, I would say. So it looks impressive at this point of the year. So, it's going to be a big test this weekend, but this offense is there and can compete, I think, with anyone at this point.
Yeah, the other thing to mention about Arias, like Pete was saying, is, man, start to August for his standards and what he's done so far this year has not been good. 369. It's easy to look, or it's easy to look at that and say, okay, yeah, the guy's still good, and he is still good. But 369 is the lowest that he's hit all year. And that's because he has had a really slow start to the month of August in the last, 8-9 games that he's played. He's had a pretty slow start. So get him out of the leadoff spot, take a little pressure off, throw Soler up there. Arias can still get on base with the best of them. So I think it's a good change. Just give Arias a little bit of a break. Give him a little bit of a change of scenery. Just focus on getting on base first, and then the hits will come after that. So I like that change by Skip. I think it's good. And then, like Pete said as well, you just sprinkle around the power. You got Bell there sitting third. You got De La Cruz down there at 5. So there's Jesus down there at 6. So and then Berger, of course. So there's a lot of power here. Yeah, exactly, DeMar. It's true. It's easy to look at 370, 369 and say that the guy is slumping, but he is. Look at his last 8 games. It's not been too good for him in terms of what he's done so far this year. But Yeah, unrealistic to think a guy's going to hit 400 all year, especially a player like Arias, who's pretty much all base hit or nothing, right? Or walk. So, when you have a guy who doesn't hit for a lot of power, I think me and Eli both called it out. We were expecting there to be a bit of a slowdown when he was hitting. We were talking earlier in the season, can he hit 400? I think me and Eli both said he's probably more 365, 370, and it's exactly what we're seeing right now. So, yeah, you kind of saw it coming, but to switch it up like this, I think is a good idea by Skip, and I think it should work out. We'll see how they do tonight with it.
I love the balance in this lineup. I love how deep it goes, and I always like lineups that go right, left the whole way down. Arise, is it just me? I don't have the numbers to support this. It seems like he's hitting more fly balls and less line drives, and he seems to get to that when he starts to slump, right? He starts to put too much in the air instead of really hitting the gaps. I don't know if it's just me.
I do remember. I think you're right about that. I recall one particular fly ball during that Reds series where, I think he got into a favorable count and he hit it kind of to the warning track in center field, where it's just uncharacteristic. He's never going to hit a home run to dead center field, even if it's in a ballpark like that. So that was like one moment where it occurred to me that, maybe that something is a little bit off overall with him.
Could also just be like general regression. Like you guys said, he's never going to hit 400. You're going to go through slumps every once in a while. It's probably not that big of a deal, but it is something that I've thought about every once in a while, especially watching him hit, because you're just like, why are you trying to hit it 300 feet? Or is he even trying to? I don't know.
It's still good for a hit a game, right? He still has 9 hits in 9 games, so he's still good for a hit a game, even when he's not, getting 4, 5 hits a game and cycling, which is not going to do that every day. So, of course there was going to be regression from where he was early in the season. He's still, like I said, he's still good for getting on base at least once per game. So, still want to see at least in terms of what he's done so far this month, is not walk a lot. I think just 1 walk, I think I saw. Yeah, like one or none. None. Wow, no walks yet this month. So, yeah, that's got to come back. The guy's got to start getting on base a little bit more consistently to get back to where he was earlier in the season. So, I think switching up spots in the lineup is a good way to maybe encourage that.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I hopped on for the first series preview, told everyone to take Luis Ariz, MLB hit leader at 20-1. I've been sweating it out all year. He's now 1 hit ahead of Freddie Freeman, 158 to 157. So that'll be a fun 2 months for me.
Yeah. Well, there was one big rival that essentially came off the board with Bo. Bo was the one that was neck and neck with him and ahead of him for a little bit. And now with his injury, I'm not sure what his return date is, but that was a big help to you, the fact that he went out. And with Freddie, like that's a separate conversation, but not only the hits leader, that's like, I'm not ruling out that he could like come in the back door and sneak MVP away from Acuna. He's been really that amazing for the Dodgers recently.
Yeah, I think you could get 9-1 in the MVP market for him, which might be worth a sprinkle. I don't know.
What's the last thing that I wanted to get to here about these guys? With Rise, I'll just point out that when he goes through these mini slumps and people get concerns, a lot of these happen coincidentally, maybe when the Marlins are on the road. He has pretty wide home road splits this year. He's only hitting 327 on the road. He's hitting 410 at Lone Depot Park this season.
Wow.
In 57 games. We're pretty deep into the year. And he's still a 410 hitter at home. The strikeout rate goes even lower than usual, if that's possible. He's been just unfathomably good in front of the home crowd. A 945 OPS at home as well. Just a lot more doubles, less strikeouts, about the same walk rate, and just more singles. His batting average on balls in play even higher. So sometimes it might be just as simple as that he is at his very best when he's in Miami. And so we shouldn't be overly concerned to anything that happens during a road trip that seems a little abnormal with him.
There's got to be something with the kind of like rangy outfield Lone Depot, right? I mean, park factor, it's a 105 double park factor, a 120 triple. I think that plays into it for sure, because that's just the style of hitter he is. He would benefit from something like that.
I wanted to stay with you, Tanner, about this Yankees lineup. So Giancarlo Stanton right in the middle there, the cleanup hitter. I was going to do an article on this. I didn't have time, about how like this is finally the first time that he's now 6 seasons removed from being a Marlin. This is really the time where you see somebody that's in their decline phase where he hits the ball almost as hard as ever, almost as hard as anybody. But like the other aspects of his game have kind of deteriorated where he doesn't run anymore. Look at him in sprint speed, man. 24.4. This guy used to be one of the better all-around athletes in baseball. Still hits his home runs. And I think recently he's been a little bit better than usual, but overall a league average hitter in terms of WRC plus this year. But what I wanted to mention is that he's the one thing he still does every bit as good as he used to. Is he hits lefties as good as he used to in a very limited sample this year when he's been healthy. As somebody, you probably watch more of him than the rest of us do because you watch all 30 teams, and don't you watch quite a bit of the Red Sox when they go head to head against the Yankees as well. So where is Stanton at this season? Like, how much of this is just him playing through injuries, or is he somebody that you think could finish relatively strong this year to get somewhere in the ballpark of his career norms, despite his ugly numbers overall?
So this gets into a wider conversation about the Yankees in general. Outside of Judge, you've got about 5 Yankees that are significantly underperforming their expected statistics this year. And Giancarlo is one of them by a lot. I mean, his xWOBA is like 50 points higher than his WOBA. He's getting BABIP to death. It's like 196. His batted ball profile, like you said, it's still elite. He still hits the ball hard. He's walking a lot less, which is definitely taking, affecting his overall numbers. He's actually making more contact, which I thought was interesting. His contact rate's up like 3%. But are all these Yankees hitters, are they getting unlucky? Or are the Yankees, and this is kind of a half-baked theory, are they not built to compete in the rule change world? I mean, the rule changes, they benefit teams with speed and defense. The Yankees have no speed, no defense. Well, their defense is okay, but they're not fast. And Giancarlo seems to be not the beneficiary of that. I'll touch a bit on the lefties thing because I thought this was really funny. I found some good stuff. Yeah, 171 WRC plus against lefties on the year. He has faced, so I dug in a little bit with the matchup with Luzardo. Luzardo, he throws a lot of fastball slider stuff. Giancarlo has faced 15 fastballs and sliders from left-handed pitchers this season. He's 4 for 15 with 4 home runs. That is like the most typical Giancarlo thing ever.
Yeah. Aside from him, this situation, there's Judge, of course, in the middle there. So Yankees happy to have him back, and Glaber, who, as Pete knows very well, the Marlins connected to him through rumors now 2 deadlines in a row. Nothing happens there, but that'll be interesting to see him in this ballpark. And if he is potentially available this offseason, I think they want to get a preview as to exactly what that looks like, because overall he's been fine. It's just an extremely thin lineup once we get beyond that. Jake Bauers has been one of the more positive stories for the Yankees this year against right-handed pitching. The reason why he's so low in the lineup is because he's a bit of a platoon guy ordinarily. Anthony Volpe got so much hype entering the year.
Yeah.
And he's been, as an overall player, he's been kind of solid for them, but just as a hitter, a little bit underwhelming. And as a whole, this is a team that barely scores more than the Marlins do. They are in that same area in terms of overall offensive performance, except they are without Anthony Rizzo. DJ LeMahieu has a nagging injury. And as Tanner touched on, a lot of their guys kind of strangely underperforming their expected numbers. If that flip switches, then they could be a formidable team down the stretch of it. If it doesn't, they are in the American League wildcard race is less forgiving than the National League. They're in pretty big trouble. They need this series probably more than the Marlins do.
They need every series. That American League wildcard race is just brutal right now. They need every series.
Yeah, Volpe is interesting to me. That guy came into the season with so much around him, like, oh, this guy's going to be rookie of the year. This guy's really good. Defense has been, I think, okay. But man, he does literally nothing with the bat. Like it's really tough to see from a young player. And the guy barely played at AAA. So I mean, I guess it's because they have nobody else. They have nobody else in their minor league system that's ready to play shortstop. So I guess it's just out of necessity that Volpe is still on the Yankees. But man, he's had a struggle. It's not been good for him.
About, I think it was like 7-8 years ago now. This is going to be a bit of a random anecdote, but the Yankees kind of fell off, right? And it was sort of the end of the A-Rod era and stuff like that, and they were kind of missing the playoffs. And what they did was they just pivoted towards their young talent, right? And that's when Judge came up. That's when Torres came up. That's when this sort of core came up. And they started performing again. Well, now you've got this aging roster that's way overpaid, and a lot of their top guys are like locked up for a few years now, and there is really no room to pivot. They're kind of stuck in where they were 10 years ago. So yeah, someone mentioned like $290 million payroll, but if you pitch around Judge, you're pitching to the A's. It's just there's no depth.
And tonight, as I mentioned a few moments ago, they're going with an opener, Ian Hamilton. They called up a rookie, Randy Vasquez, who was expected to be the bulk guy. Then for the rest of the series, there was a lot of excitement about Nestor Cortez pitching. He's a Hialeah native, about pitching from a big hometown crowd. But then Nestor just goes on the IL, and the initial prognosis is that he's probably going to miss the rest of the season because they need to shut him down with a rotator cuff injury. For a Marlins team that I think anybody would, for tonight at least, they had the edge. And now I think it's hard to argue that even though the Yankees need this series more, Pete, I think you'd have to say that the Marlins are really poised well to win this series. Despite the hype and the attention that the Yankees get, if you just look at the talent on the field and the condition of the players that they're in, this Marlins team, they're healthy and they have their studs lined up to pitch each of these 3 days. I guess we'll get your prediction in a few moments, but I mean, the Marlins would seem to certainly be favored to get this done this weekend and take the series.
Feels huge, doesn't it? Cortez going down at this moment, like it just completely changes the mentality of the series, I think. I mean, the Marlins would have been looking to win this series anyway. I think the Yankees talked about the flaws. They have flaws. They're a flawed roster right now. And so this was there for the taking anyway. This Cortez injury completely changes the dynamic, the mentality. I think the Marlins are favorites for this series. The Sunday game is going to be a real tough one, right? I mean, it's going to be one hell of a pitching matchup, like insane. Garrett Cole, Yuri Perez is going to be unbelievable. But I think the Marlins have got a real chance to, if they play well, this is it. Just play well. Coming out of the All-Star break, they just didn't play well. Didn't play good ball. Fundamentally, that's been the problem. The roster's better. They just didn't play well. But now, play well. They can win these games. And they can win this series. And the Marlins really need to win this series. They really, really do. For me, though, I know we're talking about the Yankees lineup, and we've been talking about Robertson earlier. One thing to call out that I'm really intrigued to see, when you've got, and let's say the game situation, you come to the 7th inning, maybe the 8th more likely, and it's Judge, Torres, Stanton on deck there. Do you go Robertson in the 8th? Again, right. It was the righty against it, because the leverage righties, there is just no leverage righties that I would trust other than Robertson, to be honest with you. So it wouldn't shock me if the game situation allows it, that you end up seeing Robertson slide forward to take the 2, 3, 4, if needs be. And then you give the save situation to one of the lefty guys. They've just got so many, their lineup is completely right-handed today, pretty much. Obviously, Lazaro's going. So I'm going to be really intrigued to see on that one. I think that's a kind of wrinkle to this, but it wouldn't shock me to see Robertson slide. Really, I'm fancying the Marlins here. I fancy them anyway, but with this Cortez news, it just gives you a big boost, I think.
I think there's 3 guys you can trust right now in high leverage, and 2 of them are lefties. So I'd say it's Tanner Scott, Andrew Nardi, and David Robertson are the 3 guys that I would be comfortable trusting in high leverage situations, 100%. Everybody else, they could probably get it done in the middle, right? Clean up if they need to, but I wouldn't really trust anybody else right now, even though the Marlins bullpen, I think, has been a strength of this team. I think it's been really good. And they shorted up with Robertson, who had a tough start, and then, as we said before, has gotten it going lately. But the 3 guys you trust, 2 of them are lefties, and then you got all those righties. So, it's interesting. So, I would agree. I would say Robertson's got to get the big guys out. That's what he's being paid to do. Maybe that's in the 8th inning, like you said. And then, you go to one of the lefties in the 9th, and they get a save up. So, I think that Skip is crafty enough to also think like that, and I think that he will. So, you see him switching up the lineup. I think he has no problem. Even though Robertson was paid to come here to be a closer, he was also paid to come here to get big outs. And there's no other 3 big outs in this Yankees lineup, as we just touched on, than those guys. Judge, Torres, Stanton, right? You got to get them out to win a game. If that's Robertson in the 8th, I think they'll do it.
Me too.
So I thought it was Randy Vasquez starting.
That's what
Is
I
now in
assumed.
Hamilton, and are they going to use Vasquez after him?
Right.
Okay. If that's the case, and I'll touch a bit on it. I actually think the Yankees win this game tonight. I actually bet them as underdogs. Couple reasons. Yankees offense terrible against right-handed pitching. They're not bad against left-handed pitching. 106 WRC plus over the past month against the side. 110 on the year. Top 10 in baseball. Luzardo, I don't know what you guys think. I think he's been slipping a tad. 4 earned runs each of his last 2 starts. 10 batters over his last 20 frames. I don't know if you guys use any of the Stuff Plus numbers, but I've been getting into them this year. It's a way to discuss the nastiness of a pitcher's arsenal.
Yeah, it's available on for people that haven't seen it. It's now available on Fangraphs, I think, starting this season, so people can check that out. It's on a similar to the other stats, 100 representing league average, and then numbers being either above that or below that, above average, below average.
Yeah, Luzardo, historic this season, high Stuff Plus numbers. Last 30 days, they're way down. He's actually a below average pitcher by Stuff Plus over the last 30 days. So I'm a little Meanwhile, Randy Vasquez, Stuff Plus darling. 108 overall, 5+ pitches, super high skid curveball, 17% swinging strikeout rate on that. Deep arsenal. He throws 6 pitches all between like a tenth and a quarter of the time. I mean, some regression is coming, right? I mean, he's pitched 15 innings with 2 earned runs. He's not going to be that the whole way, but I think he might actually beat out his projections, which are like mid-4 ERA guy. So I give the Yankees just a slight edge here in the top because I think Luzardo's a tad overvalued, and I think the Yankees offense is a little bit undervalued against lefties. And if Vasquez is as good as I think he has been over the last few innings, I'm going Yankees here in game 1.
Yeah, we didn't have time to even do the Sandy conversation I wanted to have with you, but the fact that he was already what it was originally supposed to be against Nestor, would you still bet that depending on who the Yankee starter is? If it's any, I don't know if they've announced one yet, but that'd probably shift the line even more towards Sandy, wouldn't it? If for whoever's going to be filling in for Nestor on short notice.
Let's see if I can get it. Looks like it could be Brito. It's going to be Marlins about -130. I'll do an abbreviated Sandy speech. Sandy is going to dominate tomorrow. A Phoenix rising from the ashes. Last month or so, last 50 innings pitched, he's back on his ground ball game. 55% ground ball rate, double-digit ground balls, 6 straight games, 71 ground balls, 33 5 balls over his last 6 starts. 117 Stuff Plus over the last month. That's 9th in Major League Baseball among qualified starting pitchers. That's sandwiched between Spencer Strider and Garrett Cole. He's reasserted himself as one of the league's best. And I think we're going to get him. We can buy low on him tomorrow because that start against the Rangers was fluky. He gave up 3 home runs, 2 were on hanging sliders. Otherwise, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 5 hard hit balls. He's just going to be undervalued there. And the Yankees, they're good against lefties. They're dreadful against righties. And Sandy, in his career against current Yankee hitters, 38 lifetime plate appearances, 3 hits, 1 double, 11 strikeouts, 228 expected on weighted on base percentage. I think we're getting a Sandy classic tomorrow. 8-9 innings. Marlins win that game.
I hope so. Yeah, let's now hop into prediction time right here. You guys know the drill after this video.
This is prediction time.
It's time.
As usual, we take our super subscriber predictions heading into every series. You just pick how many games the Marlins are going to win and who's going to be the series MVP as determined by win probability added. Almost everybody on the Marlins here. This was even before the Nestor Cortez injury. Vast majority of people. As Loud Marlins fan mentioned, we had his prediction. He has the Marlins winning 2 out of 3. Jake Berger is MVP. And the most common response, Marlins taking 2 out of 3 in this series. Yeah, for a lot of reasons we detailed, they are there's reason to like them in this situation. But we have a few sweeps in here. Only Marcelo DeVivo, he's the second one from the top. He was the one that has the Yankees winning the series, but otherwise just a whole lot of optimism about this team at this moment in time, the way that things go. And already, yeah, you're invited in the chat to give us your predictions as well. It's coming up pretty rapidly here on First Pitch. From the press box, as usual, we have our predictions from Isaac and Kevin. So let's quickly see what they had to say. They have a special guest as well that some of us will recognize.
Series predictions, Marlins versus Yankees. I'll go first. I think the Marlins will sweep, and I will go with Sandy as the series MVP.
I believe the Marlins win the series 2 out of 3, and I'm going to go with Jorge Soler as my MVP.
We have one more person.
I'm horrible at predictions. I'm just good at Jeopardy and beating these kids. But I have to say that the Yankees will win 2 out of 3. And my MVP, this is just pure heart, not pure thought. It's John Carlos Stanton. Bye.
Alrighty, Eli, back to you.
Thank you to Danny Alvarez for joining us right there. Yeah, so super subscribers, as little as $3 a month. You sign up on our site. You make predictions with us all year long just to show the leaderboard here that we keep track of all season long. Very meticulously, it is hyper competitive as we come down the home stretch. Our own Daniel Rodriguez and Grant Kiefer, they are tied for first place, but I'm only 2 points behind in here. And yeah, there's our mix of everybody. I think Carver's on there somewhere. 18th place, not terrible. But without further ado, let's cue the music up. Go to you guys one at a time. And who is your MVP, sir?
But yeah, it's to me. It must be. My face is blown up. So I'm going. I've had a glass of wine, as you've seen through this episode. I'm going Marlins to sweep this series, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. is going off. He is my MVP.
And our second guest, Tanner. Same to you. Your predictions, sir.
I'm going to get a little too in-depth here, so it's going to obviously blow up in my face. Marlins lose tonight, and then Sandy comes in tomorrow and dominates in a win. Third game, Garrett Cole and Yuri Perez go for a classic pitcher's duel, but the Marlins finally lose a one-run game because they need more of those. Marlins lose 2 out of 3, but Sandy is so dominant that he's still the series MVP.
Okay. Mr. Carver, your predictions.
Well, we heard some great points about Luzardo just before, but man, this kid, you know, he remembers the 2003 World Series. He's from down here in South Florida. He saw some pictures of him on Twitter today. The Marlins, you know, didn't do it against Detroit. Another big crowd expected all 3 games here this series. The Marlins are going to sweep this series and really make a point. So I'll say they get all 3, and my MVP will be Josh Bell.
I also have the Marlins winning the series, not sweeping. I have them winning 2 out of 3 here, and I'm also going with Josh Bell. He's hot. He's hot, and so I think he's going to, especially good against right-handed pitching this year, I believe. So a lot of slugging from Josh Bell. He's going to keep it going. As the Marlins pick out 2 out of 3, disappointing the 80% Yankees fans that are in attendance at Lone Depot Park this weekend. That will do it for our show. Eli Sussman, Alex Carver, Tanner McGrath, Peter Pratt, going from coast to coast to coast, I believe. Are you still out? You're still out in California, Tanner? That was my assumption.
No, I actually moved to Halifax, Nova Scotia. So I literally moved from the furthest southwest part of this continent to the furthest northeast part. So still coast, but
yes. Well, either way, thank you guys for joining us as well. And as is usual, especially on Friday home games, it's hard getting my own staffers on here. It's usually the out of town folks that want to give us our coverage here, but we hope everybody enjoyed it as well. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And yeah, we'll have another stream on Monday for the Astros series, same time and same place and same great content from us as well. I urge you again, follow Locked On Marlins. If you're watching here, our YouTube channel, follow, subscribe to theirs as well. Pete does even more shows than we do on here. He's immense with his coverage of this team. We thank Pete for coming on with us again. So that will do it. Enjoy your weekend. Fish on First Live, presented by La Pop. Go Fish.